How do we learn things about the past? Usually we study history, look for observations and evidence, and make some assumptions about what went on. Many of these ideas also hold true for scientists trying to figure out what happened to the Earth in the past. In fact, one of the main principles of geology is uniformitarianism, which is the idea that the present is the key to the past. That means that natural laws have remained the same throughout the history of the Earth. The same natural laws that impact the Earth today had the same impact millions of years ago. Using this idea, we can deduce the order of geologic events that created a landform, like a mountain or a plateau, to know what happened. This order of events can be shown using a landform diagram, which is a drawn cross-section of a landform that clearly shows the layers that form it. Here is an example of a landform diagram. You can see how the different rock layers are outlined and colored. Studying this diagram can teach us many things about the landform and how it has changed over time. Keep this image in mind as we talk about some key terms that will help us understand these diagrams. Besides the overarching principle of uniformitarianism, there are other key ideas or laws that need to be assumed to be in effect in order to deduce geological history. One is the law of original horizontality. This means that sedimentary rocks are originally formed in horizontal layers. This can be seen in any river or lake where sediment will settle to the bottom in layers. This means that if the layers of rock are inclined or tilted at an angle, the event that caused them to shift happened after they were deposited. This might occur when an area of land is forced to bend, usually from forces inside the earth pushing on them. This diagram shows the layers that originally would have been laid horizontal but have been forced to bend. A second key idea is the law of superposition. The law of superposition states that in any undisturbed sequence of layers of rock, the oldest or first deposited layer would be on the bottom and the youngest would be on the top. A third key idea is the principle of cross-cutting relations. This idea states that any rock or fault that cuts across other rocks is younger than those it cuts across. So, if you had layers of rock that are cut by some other event, maybe a lava flow, the original rock layers are older and the intrusion is younger. The fourth key idea is the idea of unconformities. Unconformities are surfaces of erosion that separate younger rocks from older ones. For instance, if a sedimentary rock forms and is still exposed to the elements, it would begin to wear away. Later, new sediment can begin to pile up on that eroded surface and eventually form new rock. In an unconformity, existing rock is lost and cannot be recovered. It is very difficult to determine how much erosion took place or what kind of rocks were worn away. Unconformities can occur because of wind, water, or friction when other rocks scrape along them, like when a glacier slides over the landform. Okay, so using these four key ideas, we can start to take a look at some landform diagrams. These diagrams are simply sketched cross-sections of a landform and usually numbered to identify the different types of rock. As we practice, we should be able to deduce the order of layers laid down by looking at erosion and intrusion events. Here is a simple example. In this picture, the layers at the bottom of the formation must form before the layers at the top. This is the law of superposition. So following this law, layer 1 is the oldest, followed by layer 2, then layer 3, and so forth, with layer 9 being the youngest. In looking at a picture of the Grand Canyon, we would guess that the layers at the bottom of the formation would be older than those near the top. From all our experiences, this makes perfect sense. Here's another basic example. Remember to use the key ideas we highlighted at the beginning to determine what happened first. Pause the video to give yourself a chance to answer it. This picture shows some rock layers and a large canyon or valley on the left side. What happened first and in what order? First, the layers of rock were laid down, layers 1 through 6. They were laid down in order and horizontally. Next, a big unconformity, an erosion event, occurred, destroying the rock that originally was on the left. This could have happened through glacial movement, a river causing erosion over time, or a cataclysmic event such as a flood or a lava flow. In any case, the layers formed first, and then they were eroded away by some kind of event. This landform diagram might have been drawn by looking at an actual cross-section of a natural formation like this one. Okay, here's a trickier example. What happened first, the layering of rock or the folding and bending of the layers? Also, which is the oldest and which is the youngest rock? Well, according to the law of original horizontality, the layers were laid down first in a horizontal pattern, and then forces in the earth would have caused the folding and bending afterwards. Second, the law of superposition would say that layer 1 would be the oldest deposited first, and layer 7 would be the youngest. Finally, let's try to figure out this one. Here are some events that occurred in this landform. Can you order them? Magma leaking through the rock, weathering and erosion of the formation, deposition of layers 1 through 4, and deposition of layers 6 and 7. Pause the video if you want to try to do this before the answer is given. In this example, the squiggly line is a surface of erosion called an unconformity. Rock layers 1 through 4 were formed horizontally. Then, magma seeped through the layers in the diagonal fashion that is shown. Next, this formation was eroded down to where the unconformity is left. Then, the 2 layers above it were deposited on top. We know that this happened last for 2 reasons. 1, the tube of magma does not continue past the unconformity, and 2, layers 6 and 7 are on the top of the formation. Okay, so now we have worked through a couple examples. Hopefully you've got the hang of it.